Have you ever felt a chill run down your spine in the presence of someone you trusted? That unsettling sensation that something is off, yet you can't pinpoint exactly what it is. You're not alone. In a world where the masks of civility often hide dark intentions, it's crucial to learn how to recognize the signs of toxic and harmful behavior. Today, we will dive deep into the 10 alarming signs that a malicious person may be closer than you think. This isn't about creating paranoia, but about providing protection and clarity. By the end of this video, you'll be equipped with the knowledge needed to safeguard your mental, emotional, and even physical health. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that the person you trusted for years is slowly poisoning your life. This person is draining your energy and undermining your self-esteem. Sounds terrifying, right? But know that toxic behaviors don't usually announce themselves blatantly. They infiltrate gradually, disguised as friendship, love, or even leadership. That's why sharpening your instincts and learning to identify the signs is essential. In the next few minutes, we will uncover together the subtle yet powerful behaviors that reveal malicious intentions in those close to you. 1. Consistent pleasure in others' misfortune. When someone delights in the pain or misfortune of others, it is more than just a lack of empathy. It is a clear sign of a cruel and malicious disposition. We are not talking about an occasional joke or a fleeting moment of schadenfreude, pleasure from others' misfortune, but rather a person who regularly enjoys others' difficulties. Imagine that coworker who lights up when you fail at a task, or a friend who, with a gleam in their eye, shares someone else's problems. These reactions reveal a deeply negative inclination, where another's happiness is seen as a threat, and their pain as a form of personal validation. This behavior may be disguised as joking or harmless gossip, but in reality, it is a perverse way of feeling superior. People who take pleasure in others' pain often have an internal need to stand out in a negative way, seeking opportunities to feel better at the expense of others' suffering. It's not just about observing from afar. Often these individuals actively create situations to generate or increase others' discomfort. They commonly spread rumors, set up situations for colleagues to fail, or even manipulate friendships to generate conflicts and misunderstandings. The satisfaction these people derive from seeing others suffer reveals something even more profound and concerning: a genuine lack of empathy. Empathy prevents us from wanting to inflict pain on others. But when someone is drawn to situations where suffering is evident, it indicates a disconnection from basic human feelings. These individuals not only lack compassion, they may even use others' vulnerability as an opportunity to cause more harm. Their insensitivity to others' suffering makes them dangerous, as over time, their actions can become bolder and more destructive. What makes this situation even worse is that these people are usually skilled at masking their intentions. They may present themselves as close friends or supportive confidants, but in reality, they are watching closely, waiting for moments of fragility to exploit. When you realize someone is constantly seeking out situations of pain to feel better, it's important to take steps to distance yourself and protect your mental health. Finally, recognizing this behavior as a red flag can save you from future problems. The issue isn't whether a person is capable of having a bad moment or making a hurtful comment occasionally. We all experience that. The problem lies in the consistent pattern and lack of remorse, which indicates a deeper malicious inclination. Stay alert to the signs, and if someone fits this description, consider limiting contact to protect your emotional health. 2. Relentless need for control. When we talk about control, we're not just referring to a preference for organization or the desire to lead. The relentless need for control is rooted in a desire for domination, which manifests in the effort to manipulate everyone around to fit one's interests. Think of that friend who insists on deciding what everyone will do without leaving room for suggestions, or the partner who monitors your every move, always wanting to know where you are and with whom. It may seem like care, but it is actually a sign of suffocating possessiveness and control. The need for control is not limited to personal relationships, it also appears in professional settings. A boss who micromanages every aspect of work, depriving employees of any autonomy, is demonstrating controlling behavior. This type of attitude may be disguised as ensuring quality, but in reality it aims to prevent freedom and creativity, keeping others dependent and insecure. When challenged, these individuals often react with emotional manipulation, anger, or even threats, showing just how much they value dominance. The severity of this behavior is revealed when we see how it affects the trust and self-esteem of those who are the targets of control. Over time, the need to please or avoid confrontation leads to a loss of identity, where personal desires and preferences are suppressed. The controller feeds on this conformity, using every small act of obedience as validation of their power. This can be extremely damaging to mental health, as the victim begins to question themselves and feel that their voice doesn't matter. Moreover, this need for control can escalate. Initially, it may seem like someone just wanting to help or be responsible, but over time, the acts become more invasive and tyrannical. The controller may try to justify their actions by claiming that they know what's best. But the true motivation is the fear of losing power over others. This escalation can lead to abusive behaviors, where the controlling person does not allow the other to have any autonomy. Therefore, recognizing this characteristic early on is essential for self-protection. Setting clear boundaries and asserting your independence is crucial, even if the controlling person resists or tries to manipulate. This type of behavior is destructive and, if left unchecked, can lead to a cycle of submission that is difficult to break. It's not just about wanting to be in charge, it's about dominating and oppressing. 3. Constant lies and truth manipulation. Lying occasionally to avoid conflicts or embarrassment is something almost everyone does, but some people make lying a lifestyle. For them, the truth is malleable, a tool that can be shaped according to the needs of the moment. These people not only tell small lies but also elaborate complex and contradictory stories, creating a parallel reality where facts are distorted to serve their interests. This becomes evident when the details start to contradict each other, or when they are exposed, yet still try to justify themselves. This constant manipulation of the truth can cause immense emotional exhaustion for those living with such people. You never know if what they say is true or just another invention. This constant uncertainty erodes trust, making it difficult to believe anything the person says. Often these lies extend beyond personal matters and reach into the professional environment, where they may boast about fictitious achievements or exaggerate skills to stand out. The most dangerous aspect is that when confronted, these liars usually double down, creating even more elaborate lies to cover up the previous ones. This practice is known as gaslighting, where the victim begins to doubt their own memory and sanity. The manipulator uses this technique to divert attention and avoid responsibility, making others feel confused and insecure. Over time, this form of manipulation can cause deep and lasting emotional damage. Another critical aspect is how these lies are used to control situations and people. By manipulating the truth, these individuals can influence opinions, decisions, and even the dynamics of entire groups. They may create intrigue, divide friends, and generate distrust among colleagues, all for their own benefit. This is particularly harmful in environments where trust is fundamental, such as at work or in intimate relationships. Therefore, identifying this behavior early on is essential to protect your mental health and emotional integrity. If you notice that someone in your life constantly lies or distorts the truth, it is important to set clear boundaries and, if necessary, distance yourself to avoid becoming another victim of their manipulations. Do not underestimate the impact of dealing with a compulsive manipulator. It can be more harmful than you imagine. 4. Lack of remorse or responsibility. We all make mistakes, but what differentiates healthy individuals from malicious ones is the ability to recognize these mistakes and genuinely apologize. When a person is unable to feel remorse or take responsibility for their actions, it reveals a deep lack of empathy and a disconnect from the basic principles of human coexistence. It is common for these people to try to divert attention or place the blame on others when confronted, using phrases like, "I'm sorry you felt that way," instead of acknowledging their own fault. This tactic of shifting responsibility is used to avoid any kind of vulnerability. The impact of dealing with someone who never apologizes authentically can be devastating in any type of relationship. In intimate relationships, it can make the other person feel like they are always emotionally indebted, even when that's not the case. In professional settings, this lack of responsibility can lead to a culture of mistrust and resentment, where no one wants to collaborate with someone who never admits their mistakes. These dynamics undermine trust and the cohesion of groups, creating toxic environments where communication and growth are hampered. In addition to avoiding apologies, these people often adopt the role of the victim to escape responsibilities. Instead of acknowledging the harm they caused, they try to reverse the situation to make it seem like they were the ones wronged. This role reversal is a manipulative tactic aimed at evoking sympathy or shifting the focus from their behavior. When someone constantly plays the victim, it's clear they refuse to accept any blame and are only seeking to manipulate others' perceptions. This refusal to accept responsibility can also be seen in people who constantly justify themselves, offering elaborate excuses for their behavior. The problem isn't making an occasional excuse, but rather a pattern of never admitting fault, always looking for a way to escape consequences. This creates a harmful cycle, where others end up taking responsibility for actions that are not theirs, generating frustration and emotional exhaustion. Therefore, when you notice someone never genuinely apologizing and always deflecting responsibility, consider it a red flag. People who cannot acknowledge their mistakes have little to no chance of changing, as they see no need to improve. Don't let another person's lack of responsibility affect your emotional well-being. Set clear boundaries and, if necessary, consider distancing yourself to protect your mental health. 5. Cruelty. Disguised as honesty or tough love. Some people believe they are just honest or practice what they call tough love, but often what they are really doing is inflicting pain purposefully under the guise of helping. People who behave this way tend to make harsh criticisms that target others' insecurities directly. They may use humor or sarcasm to mask cruel comments, but the real intention is to cause pain and gain power over the other person. What starts as an apparently innocent joke can escalate into more aggressive and direct insults. Disguised cruelty can have a highly corrosive effect on the self-esteem of its target. When the victim tries to react or express discomfort, the aggressor often claims that the person is too sensitive or can't handle the truth. This shifting of blame serves to undermine the victim's confidence in their own perceptions and reinforce the aggressor's control. Over time, the criticism and tough advice can become an emotional burden that is hard to bear, leading to feelings of inadequacy and devaluation. The danger of this behavior is that it is often accepted or even encouraged in certain environments under the pretext of toughening people up. In some contexts, like the corporate world or even certain family dynamics, harsh criticism is seen as a form of motivation or guidance. However, the line between constructive feedback and cruelty is thin, and when words are spoken to hurt rather than help, we are facing a serious problem. Cruelty is never an acceptable way to promote personal growth. There is also a selective aspect to the targets of cruelty. People who behave this way often choose targets they consider more vulnerable or less likely to retaliate. This is a cowardly tactic aimed at reinforcing the aggressor's power by inflicting pain on those they see as weaker. Whether at work, at home, or in social circles, this attitude reveals a malicious character and a willingness to exploit others' fragility. Therefore, if you notice that someone is constantly using honesty as an excuse to be cruel, it's time to reassess that relationship. Honesty is not a license to hurt, and anyone who uses this pretext to justify unnecessarily hurtful comments is, in fact, exposing a tendency toward malice. Set clear boundaries and do not accept cruelty disguised as sincerity. 6. Continuous disregard for boundaries. Respecting others' boundaries is one of the most basic pillars of any healthy relationship, whether personal or professional. People who have a pattern of continuously crossing others' boundaries are sending a clear message. I do not respect your autonomy or space. This disregard can manifest in various ways, from invading someone's personal space physically to insisting on discussing topics the other has already shown discomfort with. When someone repeatedly ignores the verbal and nonverbal signs that indicate a line has been crossed, it's cause for concern. Boundary violation is not limited to the physical aspect. It can involve invading privacy, such as asking intrusive questions about personal matters or insisting on knowing intimate details that the person does not want to share. These behaviors are a form of control and manipulation, as by forcing the other to expose themselves or deal with uncomfortable situations, the boundary crosser gains power. It is a clear sign that they view others merely as instruments to achieve their goals. People who don't respect boundaries often try to justify their behavior by claiming they are close friends, or that they have the right to know or do certain things. This attempt to rationalize their actions indicates that they refuse to be restrained and do not recognize the need to allow others control over their own space or lives. This type of behavior reveals a tendency to continuously invade, test limits, and push the other person to yield more and more. When someone doesn't respect your boundaries, it can generate doubt and insecurity in you. You may start to wonder if you're being too sensitive or if you need to relax. This doubt is exactly what the person is trying to provoke. By questioning your own limits, you end up giving up more ground, which leaves you even more vulnerable. That is why it's crucial to establish and reinforce your boundaries, no matter how much it bothers the other person. Recognizing continuous disregard for boundaries is a matter of self-protection. It doesn't matter if the person tries to justify their actions by claiming concern or closeness. Boundaries exist to protect your emotional and mental health. If someone refuses to accept or respect your boundaries, that person is not considering your well-being. Take a firm stance and be prepared to step back if necessary. 7. Gaslighting and psychological manipulation. Gaslighting is a particularly insidious form of manipulation, in which a person makes you question your reality, memory, or sanity. This type of manipulation involves denying events you clearly remember, distorting facts, or inventing stories to make you doubt your perceptions. This can leave the victim in a constant state of confusion and insecurity, not knowing what is real and what is the manipulator's invention. Gaslighting is a powerful strategy for controlling the other person, as it weakens their ability to trust themselves. People who engage in gaslighting usually do so gradually, introducing small distortions that over time become a pattern. They may start by denying seemingly insignificant things, but soon move on to manipulating bigger events, claiming you said or did something that clearly did not happen. This creates a downward spiral where the victim begins to question everything: their memories, their emotions, and even their most fundamental beliefs. This technique is especially destructive because it targets the victim's sense of identity directly. Psychological manipulation can also manifest in other ways, such as distorting reality to portray the manipulator as the victim or hero in any situation. For example, someone may exaggerate their own difficulties to make the victim feel guilty or responsible for their well-being. This type of emotional manipulation is used to control the other person's behavior, making the victim feel constantly obliged to please or compensate the manipulator. In the long run, this can lead to emotional exhaustion and psychological wear. Another common gaslighting tactic is to isolate the victim from friends and family. This is done to reduce external sources of validation, making the victim entirely dependent on the manipulator to interpret reality. The more isolated a person becomes, the easier it is for the manipulator to control their perceptions and actions. This cycle can be difficult to break as the victim feels increasingly disconnected from any external support. Therefore, if you notice that someone in your life frequently makes you doubt your perceptions or makes you feel guilty for things you did not do, it is a red flag for gaslighting. This type of manipulation is one of the most serious signs of a toxic relationship and can have serious consequences for your mental health. Do not underestimate the impact of living under this type of influence. Identify the signs, seek support, and set clear boundaries to protect your sanity. 8. Extreme jealousy and possessiveness. While a certain amount of jealousy may be considered normal in intimate relationships, when jealousy becomes obsessive and controlling, it turns into something toxic and harmful. People who exhibit extreme jealousy and possessiveness see others as their property. as if they were objects that must be controlled at all costs. This can manifest in various forms, from overreacting when you spend time with other people to constant attempts to monitor your activities and limit your social interactions. These behaviors reveal a need for possession, not affection. Possessiveness is often disguised as protection or care. The person may claim that they are just concerned for your safety or that they love too much to let you be free. However, this false protection is a form of domination used to undermine your autonomy and make you emotionally dependent on them. When someone tries to control your freedom so intrusively, it is a clear sign that they are trying to isolate you from other influences and reinforce their dominance over the relationship. This type of jealous and possessive behavior can cause significant harm to the self-esteem and sense of identity of the person who is targeted. The more a person gives in to the other's demands, the greater the control exercised over them becomes. Gradually, it can be difficult to distinguish where your desires end and the possessive partner's or friend's demands begin. This creates a cycle of emotional dependence in which the person starts to believe that they can only be valued if they meet the other's expectations. Extreme possessiveness can also escalate to even more severe behaviors, such as emotional manipulation and threats. When the person realizes they are losing control, they may resort to intimidation tactics, emotional blackmail, or even violence to maintain dominance. This is a sign that the relationship has become abusive and that drastic measures may be necessary to ensure the safety and well-being of the victim. Therefore, recognizing the signs of extreme jealousy and possessiveness is crucial to prevent the situation from worsening. Dealing with someone who exhibits this behavior requires setting firm boundaries and seeking external support to avoid isolation. Understanding that obsessive jealousy is not a sign of love, but of control, can help a person see the need to step away and regain their autonomy. 9. Extreme and unpredictable mood swings. Everyone experiences mood swings, but when these changes are dramatic and unpredictable, it can be a sign that something more serious is going on. Living with someone who quickly oscillates between affection and coldness or between calm and anger creates an atmosphere of constant tension and uncertainty. These mood swings leave those around them walking on eggshells, not knowing what to expect next. Unpredictability can be used as a form of manipulation, forcing others to constantly adjust to avoid conflict or push the wrong buttons. This behavior creates a cycle of hypervigilance in those who live with the unstable person. When someone is constantly monitoring signs that a mood change might occur, their own mental and emotional health suffers. The strain can manifest as anxiety, depression, or even physical symptoms like headaches or sleep problems. Over time, this atmosphere of instability becomes unbearable and can destroy the well-being of a person, affecting all aspects of their life. Moreover, extreme mood swings are often interspersed with periods of excessive charm or apparent regret. These moments of normality or exaggerated affection serve to further confuse the person suffering from the volatile behavior. This cycle of emotional abuse, followed by attempts at reconciliation, can create a toxic emotional bond where the person begins to believe that volatility is normal and that they need to try harder to deserve the moments of affection. These mood swings can also be a strategy to divert attention from the main issues. When a person suddenly explodes in anger or withdraws without apparent reason, they may be using these changes to control the conversation or avoid confrontation. Unpredictable behavior becomes a way to keep others off balance, making it easier to manipulate and control situations in their favor. Therefore, if you live with someone who displays extreme and unpredictable mood swings, it should be considered a red flag. This behavior is not only harmful to the mental health of those around, but may also indicate more serious psychological problems in the individual. Don't ignore the signs. Seek help and set boundaries to protect your emotional stability. 10. Lack of empathy and human connection. Empathy is one of the most fundamental qualities that connect us as human beings. It is the ability to put oneself in another's shoes, to understand and share someone else's feelings. When someone demonstrates a chronic lack of empathy, it is a clear sign that they do not care about the well-being of others. It is not just about being indifferent. These individuals may even take pleasure in others' pain or completely disregard others' emotional needs. The absence of empathy is one of the most telling traits of malicious and abusive behavior. This lack of empathy can manifest in subtle ways, such as the inability to recognize when someone else is sad or uncomfortable, or explicitly, like when the person minimizes or ridicules others' feelings. They often justify this insensitivity with excuses like, "I'm just being realistic," or "people are too fragile these days." These justifications show a deep disrespect for human dignity and the need for compassion in any relationship. Moreover, people who lack empathy often see others merely as tools to achieve their goals. They care only about what others can do for them, not about who those others truly are. This utilitarian perspective leads to superficial and manipulative relationships, where people are discarded as soon as they cease to be useful. When others are treated as objects, it is easy for these people to justify cruel or manipulative behavior. The lack of empathy can also spread to the environment around the person, influencing others to act similarly. For example, a leader without empathy can create a toxic work environment where unfair competition and dehumanization are normalized. This can lead to a cycle of insensitivity that affects not only the individuals directly involved, but also the culture of the entire organization or social group. Therefore, recognizing a lack of empathy in someone close to you is essential to protecting your emotional health and well-being. If someone frequently shows indifference to others' suffering, this behavior should not be ignored. Set clear boundaries and assess whether this relationship is really worth maintaining. We all deserve to be surrounded by people who treat us with respect and compassion. What to do now? If you recognized any of these signs in people close to you, it is natural to feel fear or uncertainty about what to do next. However, awareness is the first step toward protecting yourself and regaining control of your life. Trust your instincts. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Don't let others make you doubt your perceptions. Your instinct exists to protect you from danger, and these red flags are signs you should take seriously. Once you've identified toxic behaviors, start documenting incidents. Write down dates, specific behaviors, and even your own reactions. This will help you notice patterns and can serve as evidence if you need to explain the situation to others, such as friends, family, or mental health professionals. Setting clear boundaries is another crucial step. Don't be afraid to say no or step back when necessary. Your emotional and mental health should always be your priority. Seek support. Talk to trusted friends, family members, or qualified professionals to get an outside perspective and emotional support. Leaving a toxic relationship can be difficult, especially if you're dealing with manipulation, gaslighting, or any other form of psychological abuse. External support can be key to maintaining your strength and clarity during this process. In more severe cases, consider complete distancing or limiting contact, especially if the other person's behavior poses a threat to your safety. Additionally, don't forget to take care of yourself. Toxic situations can be emotionally draining, and it is important to take time to recover. Activities that promote well-being, such as physical exercise, meditation, hobbies, and spending time with people who truly care about you, can help restore your emotional balance. Dealing with malicious people does not define who you are. Your ability to recognize and overcome these challenges is what truly matters. Finally, use this experience as an opportunity for growth. Toxic relationships can teach valuable lessons about our boundaries, needs, and values. Take this learning to strengthen your future relationships and to cultivate environments that reflect respect, empathy, and kindness. By identifying and distancing yourself from toxic people, you make room for true and healthy connections.